him somewhere else.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Wow, my voice started cracking, of the Women's Fittest. We are here with the Mom Squad, finally. Holy cow. I don't think we've met since before the new year.
Really? I can't even remember. I mean, mom brain going on, so I don't know. You're probably right.
I don't know.
Or maybe we had one. Well, it's
Sure.
February, so I think we had one.
Oh yeah, that's
Anyway,
right.
hey, we're back.
Don't ask me. I
I don't even know what day it is.
Oh no.
don't.
So it's Thursday.
It is Thursday. We are going to try to record on Thursdays from now on. Hey, Katie, how did the Texas snowstorm go? I'm curious.
It was fine. It was really more of like, okay, so it was last week and it started heavy rain in the evening and through the night. And that's when we got a huge temperature drop. So of course that all iced over. And by temperature drop, I just mean it went into like the teens, which is cold, but it's super, super cold for Texans. So everything froze over and then turned to sleet coming down in the morning. So you got sleet on top of the ice, but it was really no worries. We heard it was coming, so Texas just shuts down. You know, it's like, oh, there's supposed to be cold weather coming. Everything's closed. So we closed for a couple days. It was nice. JT enjoyed having his brothers and dad home. So we stayed warm and no huge power outages this time like last year. That was a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious how the older boys interact with JT, because I know like guys are usually like there's I know some guys who are like really like love babies, but for the most part, like like my ex-husband will always be like, yeah, I don't have a uterus, so I mean I like babies, but I'm not like, whereas like I'm always like, I need to touch and hold the baby.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, the boys aren't quite like that. So just to put it in perspective for everyone listening, the older boys, my stepsons are 17, 15, and 12. So, you know, those teenagers, and they all love him. I mean, they love to interact with him, but it's more the two youngest, especially the 12-year-old, he loves to hold him. And maybe that's because, you know, he was used to being the youngest and now he's not the youngest anymore. So, you know, I don't know if he's got a special connection with him, but they do all love to interact with them, make faces with them. They think it's fun. They like to talk about what they're going to teach him, you know, when he's older. And one of those was peeing outside. So can't wait for that. If it's not in the house, I'm good with the potty or outside. So fine with me.
I wanted to say the caveat is different with your own child. That's what, you know, like a father with his own children is much more, that's actually scientific. It's pretty interesting, honestly.
Yeah.
They've like done studies where you show like a man a picture of a baby and there's like no like emotional brain activity, but then you show a woman and it's like 90%. But if you show like his own children, then it's like the same as the woman. So
I believe it. Yeah.
We're just freaking animals, aren't we?
I know. We just love the babies.
And see, I wasn't like that until I had kids. Like, I think I had no switch flipped at all.
Yeah.
Like, people be like, because all my friends had babies first. They'd be like, you want to come see the baby? And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'll send you a meal. I will come do your laundry, but I really don't need to hold the baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. Yeah. And now I still am like, I'm seeing JT and I'm just like, I just want to like smooch him.
Yep.
But it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, it's not my baby, but I'm just like, I was never like this.
Yeah.
Well, it's not to get like too personal, but Abby, I think you have a similar experience as I do, as you were going through some emotional like healing from stuff. So like I didn't really have that type of connection with, you know, like the mothering connection or like even with like animals and stuff. It wasn't until I think after Anna was born that a flip a flip of the switch really happened where I was much more like loving all babies and children and like really much more connected to like animals and stuff. Because I mean, we grew up on a farm and we had dogs and it was like never, like I barely even remember the dogs or playing with the dogs or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, that was more of my survival mode times of life where I did connect with a whole lot of other.
Right. Yeah. No, I was a wall on all four sides. And I just we're just getting through life, dude.
Yeah. So, well, at least we know we're normal now, sort of.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Right.
Yeah. Might be a stretch.
Well, at least we're, you know, we haven't had our children taken away from us, so we're doing okay. So
It must be okay. He's still alive, so we're good. We're good.
oh my word. So we were going to talk about, well, I wanted to start on kind of a lighter note. It's like a parenting thing I was thinking about, because I know how like some people don't really like their own kids sometimes. And like, that always blew my mind. I'm like being serious. Like you don't like hanging around with your own child. Like I think that's your fault. So what? Totally honest here. So my question was like, what are 3 things or what are some things that you think are essential to raising good kids or kids you enjoy being around, or that you see in other people, like other kids you see and you're like, I like hanging around this kid or I like talking to this kid. What did the parents do that made them, you know, a healthy, productive member of society that is like mentally whatever?
That's a good question.
We're all at different stages. So you might see it in your own kids or you might see it in other people's kids. But so like, I'll give an example. One of the things I was thinking of was reading with your kids. Like, yeah. I think that's really important for that relationship and that interaction and creating a child that has emotions and empathy and understand what's going on in the world.
Well, like playing off of that, one thing that we have definitely encouraged, which I was not encouraged as a kid, neither any of my siblings, because I'm one of 6 and we're all non-imaginative. We're not like, we're creative, but it wasn't encouraged. Like, oh, keep going doing that. With Lily Mae, that girl, like, you can just see the imagination. Like, she plays pretend and imagination like crazy. And I see a lot of parents, they'll kind of be like, okay, that's nice, and like go and do it by yourself or whatever. Like, we join in and we encourage and we ask questions and just to see like is quick on her feet. And in so doing has made her like a huge empath especially this past like since she turned 3, and how she's even more aware of her surroundings and how she asks even more questions because we ask her questions. And so I mean, kids are naturally so imaginative and so creative, and I think there's a point where if a parent doesn't embrace it and they just kind of, you know, like, I'm too busy, like, go and do this. Like, I found myself, I do tons of work, like online, in person. And there are moments where I'm like, just go play by yourself for like 2 minutes. And I instantly feel that guilt, but that's a natural mom guilt thing, I think. But then I make sure that as soon as I'm done with my thing, I go right to her and we pick up to what she wanted to know, that she didn't do anything wrong. She just needed to wait for a minute, because I don't want her to feel like coming to me and playing is a bad thing. That's a huge thing I want her to want to do. And I think parents don't play with their kids enough. Like, learning is always a responsibility, but I don't think people understand how important play is.
Yeah.
And that's what we've definitely learned with Lily Mae at this stage in her life.
There you go. I think, oh, sorry. You want to go? You want me to go?
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to add to that because, you know, I listen to, and I think you guys probably do listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson clips. And I listened to one not too long ago that was talking about this, the importance of play. And this is something that is being squelched because parents are handing their children electronics and things like that, rather than allowing them to, you know, be creative. He used the example of, you know, the difference between the parent that has all the kids over and sits them down to watch a movie, rather than, like, I remember when we were kids, we were like, we're going to go play kick the can outside, or the girls would get together and play. We would make we'd make a blanket fort and we'd be playing house with the dolls. And that stuff is way more stimulating to the brain and the imagination of the child, because they learn how to, it was even like, he talked about wrestling with his son.
Just like, ah.
No.
Sorry, I know. I'm like trying to occupy him a little bit. He's probably distracting, but
It's a good distraction.
Distraction. But like he said, you know, he talked about wrestling with his son. He's like, this is how kids know, you know, how much they can like push playing before they hurt somebody, and, you know, it's safe to do with their parents. So yeah, I mean, Abby, 100%. But I also wanted to say, like, don't feel guilty about letting them play on their own and do their stuff on their own, because it's not your job to entertain them all the time. They have to learn how to entertain themselves. And I mean, Dan was more the person who played like Barbies or Littlest Pet Shops with Anna. And I was more like the teacher style. Like, I liked reading with her. I loved having face-to-face conversation with her. Like if we would have hot chocolate or something, or baking in the kitchen. But I was never one that liked to do like the imaginative, like playhouse type thing. And and she, you know, they do that on their own, and I think that's just fine. Like, it's not your job as a parent to entertain them all the time. So I
I agree. You know, kids love to play. They're gonna play, they're gonna explore, they're so creative, and they have these amazing imaginations. So just kind of piggybacking, one of the things I think is really important is just to let kids play naturally. What are they interested in? Let them play, let them explore without any, you know, the parents don't have to put an intention on that or a necessary meaning behind that. So just an example, because this kind of came up recently somehow. I think I saw something on Facebook, or I think it was Facebook. But anyway, so when I was little, I loved playing with G.I. Joe and He-Man, some of those other, you know, masculine toys. I didn't necessarily go for the Barbies or the dolls. I hated dresses, right? And so that's just how I was. And my mom just let me play, but there was nothing behind it. She just kind of let me play. And that was it. You know, there was no meaning. So I think parents just need to let kids play, but don't necessarily assume anything about that.
Yeah.
There's some people that might say, oh gosh, I wonder if that little girl wants to be a boy. That wasn't the case. I just like G.I. Joe.
Yeah. I think
that's what I played with.
You know,
so I think, just let kids play and explore. The other thing I think I've seen parents do that I think is really good is when they're older, so not like babies and toddlers necessarily, but when they're a little older, creating challenges and adversity for them. That can be through sports, chores, things around the house. But I think kids need to learn how to get through challenges, or maybe even accept some disappointments in life and how to get through those. And sometimes we have to create circumstances or put them in certain, challenges in order to learn how to get through that. So that's just a couple of mine.
Well, like figuring out too, one of the things that I have going on with Anna right now, I don't know why my throat is like awful today, but it is. So very phlegmy. one of the things I have going on with Anna is her, like, she's at this stage in her life now. She's 16. She has a job. She's involved with the musical at school. She teaches youth group on Wednesday. She has youth group Sunday night. And we also have a couple of sort of stressful situation going on in our household right now, in our family. And for her, it is a matter of learning how to juggle and figure out how much to put on your plate. As a teenager, even, you know, she had too much homework last night and she ended up not going to youth group so that she had that 2.5 hours for homework. And, you know, and it's a matter of, this is the age where you have to figure out what your priorities are as a teenager and what you can bail on and what you can't bail on, you know. And unfortunately, I mean, it's a lot of times it's the volunteer stuff that goes first, because schoolwork is very important. If you want to keep your job, you can't like call in on your job because you don't have your homework done. So it's been a really interesting learning experience. And for me, you know, I'm always like with Anna, you have to make sure you prioritize what you decided you're going to do. And if you say, you know, I want to, like her youth group on Wednesday night too, the middle school, she said they were going to go to every week. And I said, you might have to tell them that you can't do that every week, you know? So it's always a challenge because you're managing your own life and you're managing somebody else's life as well, at least guiding it. And it's almost like living all over again, because you're like, what did I do? Or what would I?
Yeah. Like, what would I have done differently for myself?
Yeah. And it's just different because I was really involved in sports and Anna's not really involved in sports, but now she has track or soccer coming up that she's going to be doing too. So yeah, it's like you want them to live their best life and do all these things and have all these experiences. But, you know, I think we know as parents how easily it is to get overwhelmed by wanting to do everything and help everyone and participate in all these things and live. And then you just like, you really spread yourself so thin that you're not able to put 100% effort into anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, reading, playing, interacting. I'm just a huge fan of having conversations with kids. Like I've always done that with Anna, just talking to them. And I mean, I don't know. It's like if you're face-to-face time with your child, it's just like, it seems so obvious.
Yeah.
It's harder though, as they get older. With teenagers, it's really hard, but I admire all the, you know, there's some parent friends of mine that have teenagers and they seem to have, it's like they have a friendship with their teenager, but I know that there's this level of respect. So there's still a boundary there, you know, so the teenager knows, you know, where the boundaries are. And I really hope somehow I can figure out how to get to that as well with JT. But I think that's important because you want your teenager to trust you and be able to talk to you. So you want them to open up to you, but at the same time, there needs to be some respect. They need to know that there could be discipline action taken, you know, stuff like that. I don't know how you balance that. So you don't just want to be their friend, their buddy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny how I've had several people who, especially like on Facebook, and they'll be like, "Oh, you guys are like best friends." And Anna, she constantly rolls her eyes at that comment. She's like, "This is not what we have here." Like she's like, "I never called you." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, maybe when you're like 35, we'll be like friends." But yeah, and you know what, Katie, to answer that question from my own personal perspective, I would say that respect comes from creating boundaries and discipline in the first place, because she knew she's always known what her role is. And she's always known that I am a safe person for her because I have always created a structure and discipline with her life. And so she feels safe. and then she knows that she can come to me. But, you know, I don't know if you always even have to address, like, we've talked about things as she's moved, you know, into the different years of her life, to know exactly what you said, Katie. This is what I would discipline you for. But I always need to know what's going on, because I can't help you if I don't know what's going on, you know? So
Right.
you don't have to be afraid of the repercussions. That's a lot less of a risk than, you know, you being harmed in some way. Like you always reach out to me if you need help with something. So, you know, but repeating that in different ways with your actions on a daily basis from the time that they're born, when you get to have a teenager, then you shouldn't have to worry so much about, you know, that. I don't know. I've been really blessed though with a great kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you have. Well, cool.
Abby, go. Did you want to say something?
Probably, but then I got really sucked into your I'm just like, yeah, dude. And then I totally lost it. So if it comes back, I'll let you know.
It might come back. Yeah.
I might talk about it in like 2 days. I'll text you and be like, by the way.
Like, bring this up on the next one. Just a little voice note. We'd just play it and listen.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, we had I know. I want to start with this. Katie, you have deleted your Instagram.
Yep.
It was kind of triggering. I think on a daily basis, I weigh out what is the value of social media.
Yeah. I think that's common. I think a lot of people do that more than they realize. You know, I don't think it's a conscious thing necessarily. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
here's my thing. I actually wrote this down because it was like my feelings exactly. I am very empathetic to the feelings of other people and very aware of the emotions that they're having. And when I open up an app like Instagram, I feel like a lifeguard standing there with one life preserver in a sea of emotions. And I'm like, who do I throw this to? Like, all I see is a bunch of people. I would say I think I can just see past that, like when somebody is hurting and I'm like, I'm really in tune to behavior, and it triggers me because, like, I don't look at people and get jealous of them. I look at people who are looking at those people and I think, oh, this is going to be hurtful to so many people because they're going to feel like they got to compare themselves or whatever. So it's just tough. Like, I feel like that's really my momness, is like probably me thinking about Anna and wanting to protect her, but she's actually very mentally stable. So
Good job, Mom.
She's secure in herself. She's fine.
Yeah, that's great though.
It is. I wish I was at 16.
I know. Oh gosh, I'm so
not.
glad
I'm
social
31.
media wasn't around.
Shoot, I'm still not.
yeah.
Me too. That's why I'm not super secure. And a lot of people probably think I am. I was a bodybuilder. I got on stage in a bikini and, I was successful in the sport, and I have every reason to be, super secure. And I'm fairly secure. I'm a pretty confident person, but no, there's definitely insecurities, and they really crept up in postpartum. That was huge for me. And I think the nature of, because I was in bodybuilding, all the accounts I had been following, or the algorithms of what's popping up in my feed, is all of these lean bodies, So in postpartum, that just wasn't good for me to see, because naturally I start comparing or go, gosh, I need to bounce back quick. There's probably an expectation for me to get back on stage. So the healthiest thing for me was to separate from that, because I was getting into comparison, not in a bad way, just, that's what we do. I think a lot of women do that. I think a lot of men too. But so the healthiest thing for me was to separate. I heard something at church this past weekend, actually. They started talking about comparison as a sin. And they said, you know, you have a problem with comparison when you want to be successful, but you aren't happy when other people are successful. And it was like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm being called out here, you know, and that's, it was confirmation I did the right thing by just kind of separating from it and focusing on me and the little guy for a little while.
Well, here's the thing too, like you're not going to get anywhere by following somebody else's path, right?
No, it's so true. But a lot of people think you will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's quotable, Deb. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, yes.
That's a good golden little nugget there.
It's not your life. So why are we sitting there trying to go down the same path as, I don't know, I follow Dana Lynn Bailey because I've had a girl crush on her since I discovered bodybuilding, and I will.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
But it's not, like her physique is awesome, but I fell in love with her personality. And that's why I follow her, because she's hilarious. She loves her animals. She loves her husband. She loves helping people. And that's what I connect with. Will I ever look like her? And no. Why? I have 2 kids and I'm probably going to get suckered into a third. So it's like, if we're following those people to try and strive to look like, I can't follow them. Like, they annoy me if that's all they sit there and talk about or all they show.
Yeah.
And I've been having issues with I would say like 100 people, but like I've just kind of started deleting people that I follow. But there is one new mama. I think her baby is just over 3 months old, and she's been an athlete for 10 plus years. She's a sponsored athlete now. And she posted before, I kid you not, this is what made me almost unfollow her the first time. And I have recently unfollowed her because I'm just like, and I'm done. But she said when she was like 38 weeks pregnant or something, she made a poll on her story saying, how long do you think it'll take me to get back to this? And like posted pre-body. And there are people like, it wasn't like a poll. It was actually like fill in the blank question. And then she posted all of them and she's like, oh, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And I'm like, are you like,
that's like the expectation.
Like, and so one, she's putting pressure on herself, like unnecessarily. And she's 3 months, almost 4 months postpartum. And she looks great. But at the same time, all of her posts are, what's your excuse? Why are you not, like, you shouldn't use your kids as an excuse. And and that's what made me unfollow her recently. So I was like, I don't care who you are toxic to any postpartum mom.
Yeah.
Like, because it sets the expectation that other women should be able to do it too. And, there's a whole host of reasons, which they're calling excuses, but they're valid reasons that not everybody can do what they're doing. They didn't have necessarily a level of fitness before pregnancy, or, there's just so many reasons, and that shouldn't be the expectation. And the other thing is, my kid is a valid reason that I'm not bouncing back. I don't want to, first of all. And then second of all, I don't want to miss anything with him. Like, he's little once. Stage is always going to be there, or whatever your competition platform is, right? That's not going to go anywhere, but this little guy's going to go somewhere. And I don't want to miss it. I don't want to look back and go, gosh, I wish I had spent more time playing with him instead of, me feeling like I had to get to the gym and do this or that or XYZ for my own self. I'm going to say selfish gain right now, because to me, it is kind of a little bit of a selfish gain in the season that I'm currently in. Later on in life, there'll be time for it.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Yeah. So I get triggered with it.
Abby, I love that you said that you pick people like that you love the qualities of them. This like almost, I'm sorry, it makes me cry because I was thinking about how like I think about, I have about a year and a half before Anna goes off to college. And I have regrets about time that I didn't spend with her, even though I know I spent all this time with her, because it goes by so fast. And I think, gosh, if you just can't turn off this this app to really focus on these 5 years, because those first 5 years are they're so formative, you know? And then it's just all the other stuff. Like if you put that time, just like people invest that time into their physique, if you would invest that time into your children, like the returns are so much greater, because you're just creating this amazing human being for, you know, the rest of your life, that you get to, you know, reap the rewards of the time you invested into it. So, but Abby, I love that, because you shouldn't just follow. This is why I like when, you know, people who, like athletes and stuff, post about the other aspects of their life, because that's when I know I connect with a person, when I see the aspects of their personality or what else they, you know, like you, I mean, you are very much, with, you know, a lot of the things that Dana Lynn Bailey does. You know, you love the snowboarding, you love the animals and being sustainable, and you know, plus all the fitness stuff. So like, I totally get that. And that's what you should be following, people that you connect with and are inspired by, who would be your friend or your tribe if you know, if you were close to them or whatever. But the people that you're just like, oh, I really want to look like that person, like that just gets so old. Like it just gets so old, you know. Or like, show me how you got that body so that I can incorporate some training techniques or something like that. But it's just like, like, it's just so, it's like going on a date with somebody who's attractive, but there's like nothing else to them. You're like, well, that was thanks for the free dinner.
Yeah.
I want to wake up the baby, but that was hilarious.
Oh, no, he's not sleeping.
Oh, my baby.
Oh, her baby.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said yours. I was like, oh, he's not. He's good.
Oh, so funny.
No, that's so true. I mean, that's why there was with the supplement company I work for, they take a lot on like social media classes and stuff like that, like how to grow your following. And I once suck at it, because I don't post everything about supplements. I don't post everything about my fitness. Like I will legit like post, I don't want to freaking work out tonight, so I'm just gonna do the treadmill. And then it turns like, okay, now that I've got those good, you know, endorphins flowing, now I'll do a little bit of a back workout and like show, like, I'm not sitting here going, no pain, no gain, or I'm not sitting here going, suck it up, buttercup. I'm going, no, dude, I'm tired. I want to go up and snuggle with my hot husband, but I also have wanted to drop kick my kids 3 times today, and I need to let out some aggression. So I'm going to do something good, and I'm going to walk. I'm going to do something good, and I'm going to lift a little bit of weights, not because I have to, but because I want to, for my own mental health. Like I have to, and I want to in a marriage in that situation. But
don't you feel like the shift goes from like no days off and 100% on the plan and being so strict to like, then when you have children, you're just like didn't initially I said, we need to do this podcast, like there's more to life than fitness. And I think that's what happens. You have your kids and you're just like, I'm going to make cookies today and I'm not going to the gym. Like, that's okay. You know, like when I look back at this, again, this is the stuff that makes me emotional, because it's like, I'm so glad I made cookies with my kid and didn't go to the gym. I don't freaking remember that workout. You know what I mean? But I remember this event that I created, this memory.
Yeah, I got so much interaction on my stories actually the other day. I don't know if you saw it, Deb, where I let Lily Mae just take the reins of doing the cookies. And I let her stir. And I just said, okay, now pour that in the bowl. And I did nothing. It was a mess, but you could just see her confidence build. And then she was telling me going, actually, Mama, may I use that whisk to stir, please? Because this needs to be stirred. And I was like, of course. Like I had already stirred it, but she took it upon her. And again, I'm seeing just like her confidence and her secure in herself grow and ask questions. And then she's going, I think instead of chocolate chips, we need raisins and chocolate chips. And I was like, the recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm not going to object. And I'm sitting here going, I was planning on doing cardio because I really want to lean out, but at the same time, I'm sitting here eating raw cookie dough with my 3-year-old. I have no regrets. And, you know, she wanted to try molasses. But she tried it and she was like, dude, this is awesome. And I said, okay, I'm glad you like it. So I'm remembering all of this when I would just remember that I did cardio while watching a movie or listening to a podcast. Like, which one is more valuable in the end?
Yeah.
And
I feel
still got my cardio done.
Well, and I think things work out if you kind of go with the flow of life. It's like in the long run, are you that much less close to your fitness goals because you took this time, you know, and even when you end up eating cookie dough, it usually adjusts itself out later because you ate this cookie dough and you weren't really as hungry for your next, you know what I mean? So it's just like people get so concerned about controlling all the variables. When you really just let things kind of happen, you get to enjoy and appreciate everything without having it be so strict and structured, and you get to where you want to be anyways, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be able to whip my 40 self butt in the, you know, in shape when I want, when it's time. But I mean, there's a moment, Ben looked at me the other day, goes, honey, we're going to have another baby, which I'm going, but we're going to have another baby. So just get pregnant, enjoy it. And then you can worry about like getting all in shape again. And I'm sitting here going, okay, but that's not how it works. First of all, I still got about 10 pounds, $10 to lose from pre-Hazel. I'm trying not to focus on it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be 10 pounds heavier going into a third.
Right.
So that's another thing too, is when focusing on the scale.
Yeah.
And Lily Mae the other day, she saw me get on the scale and she goes, Mama, what you doing? And I said, oh, I'm just getting on the scale. Why? Oh, I'm just curious to see how much I weigh. Not sitting here going to see how, like, I remember, I love my mom and I'm going to kind of throw her under the bus, but I remember her going, she said to me flat out, she said, to see how much my fat butt gained over the weekend.
Mhm.
And so me, like a little, I think I was probably like 8 and I'm sitting here going, okay, well,
Right.
shoot, what did mom eat this weekend? So I'm pretty sure I ate more than her.
Yeah.
I remember that so clearly. And my mom still says stuff like that. And she's going to call me and be like, how dare you say that about me? Well, sorry, but it's true. I mean, and so then Lily Mae gets on the scale and she goes, Mama, what's that say? And I say, ooh, girl, you broke the 30s. And she goes, so she's been going around all week, broke the 30s, like super proud of herself. She's in the 30s now. And I'm like, so it's just that little positive spin.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with getting on the scale. And okay, yeah, I'm heavier than I wanted to be, but I was just doing out of curiosity. So Lily Mae is now super curious every day because she just likes to see the scale light up. But she gets on there, hands on her hip. She goes, broke the 30s.
How cute.
Every day. Hazel gets on. That girl's 25. She ain't far from Lily Mae. That girl's
That's like such a mom win, though. I'm really proud of you, Abby, because you break the cycle. It's breaking the cycle.
It is. And again, deep down, I'm sitting here going, I know what I ate. And it was a lot. And I do not like the number I see on the scale, but it's not letting them see that that's going to ruin my whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who cares? Because I'm still going to play with my kids. I'm still going to live my life. My husband still wants to put another baby in me. So it's not like that's a huge factor in how my life is going to function.
No.
So, and that's just the influencers getting on their scales every morning and showing like, up 3 pounds because of that sodium. And I'm like, that's my goal right now, is that number.
Yeah.
And I'm 5-6 inches shorter than you.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder, like, sometimes, you know, because I think it's important for our kids to see us doing healthy things, but what is the line between like what is obsessive or what are they going to, you know what I mean? It's really tough, but I have to agree with you. The words matter so much. And I know how I spoke to myself before I had Anna, and after she was born, I promised myself that I was never going to tear myself down in front of her. Like I did not ever want to see her, have her hear me talking to myself the way that I previously did. Oh, you're so fat. I can't believe you ate that. Like, I can't believe you. I was going to do a reel because I don't remember what the sound was. Oh, it was the one that's like, it's like, I can't believe I'm alive. And I was thinking to the days when I literally, I know this, I walked 7 miles a day in the morning, fasted. I probably was eating between 800 and 1,000 calories a day and taking ephedra. Like, I can't believe I'm alive.
I should be dead.
That's the one. That's the one.
Wow.
Should be dead, but I'm not. Like,
No kidding. Yeah.
yeah.
It's so frustrating. And then but the postpartum influencers really trigger me. And there's one, and I swear they become, people look at those influencers like, oh my gosh, they're pregnant. That now I have something like in common with them. And I'm like, no, you don't. These are people that are going to have a kid. They have made it in their career. So one, they have a different, I don't want to throw money into it, but they have a different financial status than most, which means help can be acquired. And so that plays a huge role in most people. Like you see all these influencers in postpartum, they're back at the gym. Like, I don't want to throw names out. I try really hard not to throw names out, but one, they're like 3 weeks postpartum and I went for just a little lift and they're doing shoulders. And then they're like 3 weeks postpartum. And I'm like, who's watching your kid? At 3 weeks postpartum, I was trying to not pee my pants still. And I literally still felt like my butthole was falling out of my body.
Well,
what are you doing?
yeah, generally you're not even really cleared for exercise or like more than walking. And so you don't want to give that impression to other women who may, really, really need to not go to the gym until 6 weeks or later. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know circumstances where, these influencers are people who were athletes beforehand. Maybe you can, but just don't set that expectation for other women. I just don't like that,
I remember that.
You end up feeling like shame with your birth. You end up feeling shame and frustration with your body. Yeah. Because if you had a vaginal or cesarean, those are two completely different.
Oh, yeah. I had a cesarean, so no way I was going to the gym. I think part of it though, with these, athletes that become moms, I mean, first of all, if we're athletes and we've been successful in our athletic career, whatever sport that might be, you're kind of type A, right? Like you really like to be on top. You like to compete. And so I think there's an element of now they're competing with other moms. And it's like, I want to show you that I can out mom you.
Yes.
And I hate that. There's no such, it just, that doesn't exist, but it's becoming a thing, I think, because of social media. So it's like, let me show you what I can do as a mom, and you're like, go away with that. Because it makes moms feel bad. Like, gosh, I'm just trying to not break down every day with my 3-week-old and you're at the gym,
Yeah, I feel that's the problem, I think, especially. And then when we get more triggered by stuff, then everything we look at on social media looks like a competition. And so it feeds that cycle. I was going to say that I remember still peeing because I had a episiotomy. So peeing with the water bottle to like over your stitches, like every time I peed. And I remember at 4 weeks going back for my appointment with my doctor, and he was like, all right, you can have sex now again, 2 more weeks before you can exercise. And I was like, can we switch those? Because I just was
real.
Like, I just want to like walk and like move some. Like, I don't care. I don't want to do what got me in the first place.
I remember asking my doctor, I asked like, when is, sex okay? And I think I was at 4 weeks post, and I was C-section. Okay. So down there is okay, but still with the C-section, it's still, the thought of it was really painful to me, but I wanted to ask because I want to be able to tell my husband, and my doctor, he was like, oh, you'd be fine now. He goes, but if you don't feel fine or you don't want to, you can tell him that you have to wait till 6 weeks. That's what, and I was like, okay.
That's a good doctor.
Yeah, he's a good doctor. He's like, technically you're fine, but you can tell him I said that you're not.
Like, I need that written down.
Yeah, can I have like a school note?
I have a doctor's note.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's just it. Like, I don't even want people to hug me or touch me, let alone go to a place like a gym where there's a whole bunch of people that saw me last week or 2 weeks ago with a big pregnant belly and then see me postpartum. Like, I was still wearing diapers at 2 weeks postpartum. And then see these chicks over there and I'm like, what are you wearing? A maxi pad? Because that wasn't enough for me. Like, I almost hemorrhaged with Hazel. I was bleeding so much postpartum. So it's like, I was passing out. Like, there's other, and I'm a very fit, healthy individual, and I almost had a hemorrhage, and then I needed a DNC, and then so my postpartum didn't start until she was about 12 weeks old.
Yeah.
Because I had so many complications, and which all slowly came around. So you have these women that are like loathing their experience, like being upset with their babies in a sense, because and these babies did nothing wrong. But you get frustrated with your babies. It's like, well, if you would have just come out right, or if you would have slept more and I could have recovered better, like, you end up, having negative feelings towards your baby, and all for the sake of fitting into your pants better, or like before 9 months pregnant.
well, I think it's really important you see a lot of this stuff with moms as well. It's almost shameful to see like some of the things that they talk about with their children, blaming them almost. Like, it's like if I was a child and I grew up and looked back and saw like my mom complaining about like things I didn't even know I was aware, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's really, it's hard enough to convince people to be parents because of the way the world is right now. It's like, I don't know. I think it's not just because I had such a positive experience and I'm having such a positive experience with it, but it's like, I really want people to understand that this is the best thing that ever happened to me, and like more people should do it. You would not regret it. If you are passionate about anything, you can be passionate about parenting as well.
Yeah, it's the most rewarding and the hardest thing I've ever done. So for me personally, hardest thing. And the thing it made me realize too, it's like I worked hard before having a baby, worked hard in a career. So I had a really long, awesome, fun career. Then I worked really hard in athletics and sports, whether it was, first it was CrossFit and competing in that, and then turned to bodybuilding and competing in that. But now having a baby, I realize how much time I actually did have on my hands before the baby. And it's not that I didn't work hard, but it makes me realize, wow, like I could have done more then, So I look at all these people that don't have kids, or even like single, so they don't have a significant other or a husband and or wife, and they have no kids. And I'm like, use your time. You've got so much time right now. Do something that matters, do something that either makes a difference or do something for yourself. But it just made me realize, gosh, I think I could have done more than I did.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy to think of, but it's true.
Isn't it true? Yeah. And it's not a bad thing. It's not that I regret anything, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I really had so much time on my hands. I could have probably done better.
And think about kids now. They're like, how much time they just spend staring at their phones. This is my, like, I talked to one of the other parents at the basketball game this past weekend. And she was like, my biggest struggle is the phone with my daughter. And I said, it is for mine too. Cause Anna loves scrolling through. It's mostly videos and reels. She loves looking at all that stuff. I'll show her one. Most of the time she's seen it before, which I then will get angry at her about. Cause I'm like, okay, you're in your phone too much. If you have like seen them all, like you've seen all of the videos, but it's like, they are so constantly in need of this stimulation. And it's like, I don't know how to, this is what the parent had said to me too. She's like, I don't know how to, because this is the world they live in right now. But if you think about it, you know, like I haven't done it in a while, but if you put the timer app on your phone, like an hour goes by very, very fast. That you've been on any, like I usually have it tied to Instagram and Facebook. And
is it consecutive, like a straight hour, or just accumulated?
it'll accumulate every time you open the app. So it counts it. And if you set a limit on an hour, you're just like, it's 9 a.m. No.
No, that probably is the case though, for a lot of people, maybe even me. I mean, I'm not on Instagram now, but yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
I'm sucking.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like the biggest struggle I think with my teenager now is just when she doesn't, and I know they use it as a sort of like relax. I mean, I do too. If I don't, it's kind of like how like watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette was back in the 90s when you're like, I don't want to think, I'm going to watch reality Survivor, reality TV. It's the same as like, that's what scrolling on social media does. It's like you're down, you're just like, I don't want to think about anything, but it goes back to what we were talking about, like triggering things, you know, you're like, why are people so stupid? Like, why, how can you know, so I don't know. My biggest struggle this week was just realizing, like going to the grocery store, like how bad our economy was. I really got upset about things because you know, you get to a point in your life where you think you're doing okay fiscally, and then it's like, it's not enough, you know, like that is very, I'm like, we're going through a whole Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac thing again, all over again. The gas pump.
What is that where you guys are now?
Right now it's like 330, I think. About.
It's about 295 here, which is absurd for us in Texas. We hate it.
Right. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when it was about $4 a couple of years ago, that's when it was before Trump took office, not to like throw politics into it, but
yeah,
back in Obama days, when it was like 4 something, and I was like, I'm walking, like I will be a homeless person. I will be just like Katie, taking my grocery cart across the way.
You got to move next door to a grocery store.
I would live in those apartments, like, but I'm just, no. And now that we have the pole behind buggy behind the bike, I'm like, shoot, I'll go grocery shopping that way, because all these just couple dangerous roads away. So worth it to me. But no, I saw, like, to kind of circle back, I saw this comic strip probably, I want to say like 2 years ago now. Like, it hasn't been that long, but it was this mom and son and another mom and son sitting on a bus stop bench. And one mom and son has a book, and they're both reading their own separate books. And then another mom and her son, they're having a tablet and the phone. They're both having their tablets and phone. The mom looks over the other mom. She goes, how do you get your kid to read more? And it was like, monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
And so with Lily Mae and Hazel, I try really hard to not be on my phone when they are around. So like during nap time, so right now it's Hazel's nap time. Lily Mae's at grandma's today, so I don't have to worry about it. But that is when Lily Mae will have her movie time, when I will let her sit and watch a movie that she wants to do. But and it's usually, that gets me actually, like, it doesn't get me hours, like with her, because we are so involved and we are so one-on-one with her. She does probably like 30 minutes, and then she starts coming up and looking for me, and she says she wants me to watch with her. And that's when I'll say, how about we do Play-Doh, or we do a game instead? And she wants to do that. She doesn't want to watch the show anymore. And that is a super big proud moment for me, because she wants to be with me, and she wants to do something. Like, I know her mind is wanting to do more than just sit and veg out. So it's a really, I like to do that too. Like, I can't stand just sitting and watching a movie anymore. And when I was a kid, I remember that's all I did. When my parents were doing other stuff, it was like, all right, we'll just go watch a movie. And that's how we killed time. Well, now I'm just like, I swear I get restless leg syndrome. I'm just like, I gotta like, like everything starts like pins and needles, and I just start marching in place. And Ben's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I've got to do something.
that's a really good point. And I think a lot of times when I'm on my phone, I'm writing stuff in my notes or whatever. So I'm not necessarily on Instagram, but it's still the image of me being on my phone if I'm sitting next to Anna. That's tough because, I use it as a computer a lot of times, even though I have a laptop and I have a desktop computer. I still would rather be doing stuff on my phone, writing out show notes or whatever it is. But that made me think about that, it's more the image of, well, she's probably like, well, you're on your phone, so I can be on my phone, which isn't always the best argument for things anyways, because, it's like a kid saying, well, you stay up until 11 o'clock. I can, it's like, no, the argument doesn't really fly, but I will think a little bit more about what it looks like I'm doing. And that makes it okay for Anna to be also doing the same thing. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I try really hard not to. I'm not saying I am perfect, because I'm not, because I do all work on my phone.
Yeah.
And Lily does see. And then when she asks, like, Mama, can I play games on your phone? I'm like, well, why? Because I like to. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to play? And then she'll, like, if she can give me a clear answer on like what she wants to play, then I'm like, okay, you can play that one game. And I want to say like 9.9 out of 10, like she will go to that one thing, do it, and then be done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if I just say I'm playing on my phone, then she just feels like she wants to play on my phone. And to me, I'm like, that's such a waste of life.
Yeah, I was Anna never did any of that, playing the phone, never did any of the video games. I will say though, that I almost always had the TV on, and until we didn't have cable anymore, but it was always, the food channel. Well, sometimes it was PBS.
Yeah.
She would like, I think she was like 2 or 3, and she was like, Rachel Ray.
Oh my gosh, how funny. That's funny. Yeah, we have cable, and there's a baby channel. I mean, I think it might be called the baby channel. I don't remember, but I mean, it's really basic, but it's all shows for a baby. And I've had that on recently, just like probably the last few days. I'm like, oh, let's turn this on and see if he even notices. Oh my gosh, he's only 4 months, but he loves to look at that. And it's like shapes, different color shapes on the screen, like moving across the screen, and so he'll track the shapes and gets really excited about some things. So yeah, I only let him watch that for a few minutes. If we do it, maybe I have to put him in his little bouncy chair and run to the bathroom real quick. So I'll have that on. But I can't tell if it's like a good thing he likes to stare at this or not yet, like, is this good for him or not? I can't tell. It's just so hard to know.
Anna never sat and stared. Like, she would always, like I said, usually I had the TV on in the background, and then she would be also playing. So she would never like zone in on the TV and stare at the TV. But yeah, Abby, that's like super relatable as well too, that I like watching a movie. So lately, and I've been going over, I think I talked about this last time, but we've been trying to think of like movies I thought she would like to watch, like that I watched when I was younger. I'm like trying to have this bonding time, but normally I can't sit and watch a movie like all the way through. I just feel like I should be I've always been like that. Like my ex-husband too used to be like, after dinner, come sit and watch TV with me or whatever. And for the most part, I'd be like, there's still shit to do, dude. Like
Yeah. There is a life to live over here, and there's laundry.
Mm-hmm. Laundry. I wonder how many hours of our life is spent doing laundry.
Yeah.
That's why vacation should be prescribed. Like, after you leave the hospital, it's like, all right, 1 year postpartum, you get this 5-day tropical vacation. And I think that should be government required. Yeah. Government funded.
That'd be great.
I think more people would be willing to have children.
Probably.
Your child comes with a free vacation.
Yeah. I'll take that.
I'm due for 2.
Is that retroactive? Is that a retroactive offer? Like, can I claim that even if my child's 21 when they implement it?
I would think that it would be like, what is it called? That would be an investment. Like the
Yeah.
interest build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be
Funny.
21 days after a certain point.
That's so great. I think that's a great idea. Well, I think we talked about most of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. We did good, man. Like we hit it all in an hour.
We were efficient. Yeah. Well, I think we said that too beforehand. I was like, I got an hour, guys.
I was gonna say that's what she said, because
Oh yeah. Where's the drums? The little drum, thing. Yeah.
hit it all in an hour.
Yeah. Mhm. Good job, guys.
Fist bump.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? I think we just needed to. So moving forward, like what's the plan? I definitely understand when social media is like I said, for me, it's a lot more of, it just comes across very negative. Like I can see, and then I can see like when people are struggling, and I think, yeah, because it's like, like Abby, what you said, you get so much pressure to like be posting stuff, and then it seems really forced, and it's just like, I don't know. My advice would be to really listen to yourself and what is, feeling best for you, and then kind of just say screw what you think you're supposed to be doing, and like,
Listen to your body. Yeah.
Unfollow the people that trigger you.
Unfollow the people. Yes. I mean, I'll get back on social media at some point. I just don't know when. I did start working with my coach again. So this is week 2. I'm back with Trish.
Yeah.
Trish. And so I started working with her again. But I go to the gym now in the mornings. So I go early. So whenever little guy wakes up and we do the first feeding, and he normally will go back down for an hour or 2, that's when I go. Cause I don't know. I want to go first thing in the morning, get it done. That's when he's sleeping. I don't want to go when he's awake and have him in his car seat while he's awake, or, you know what I mean? I just don't think that's fair to him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I do it at night when everyone's asleep. Like I'll talk with Ben, and Ben's like, I'm tired. I'm like, okay. And he'll go to sleep, and he's out in 30 seconds. And that's when I'll go and do it, because then it's me time. No one's awake.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing that has definitely helped with me in social media is I have unfollowed the people, just because I don't care how big a following they have, who they are. If they're toxic to your self-worth and to your own progress, then you should not be following this person. It's like that toxic.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk to them, so why are you following them?
Yeah. And if it gets, if the whole thing's too overwhelming, just deactivate like I did. It's been great. And you can always get back on. Nothing's lost, it can be a temporary thing. Just take a break.
Yeah.
Kind of freeing. It's like, oh man, I don't feel like I'm obligated to post anything. And then I don't see these things that might trigger me,
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of, I struggle too with a lot of the stuff that's trending. And so then you see like the same thing over and over. And it's just like, God, does anybody have an original thought around here? Like just passing stuff around. It drives me crazy. It's like, especially in the evidence-based community where somebody will discover something and then you just see everybody else because, their audience doesn't follow the main scientific person. So they're like, here, this is something I just figured out. So it's like, that's what the fakeness. And I also hate the constant self-love crap that I honestly have a huge, the more I get connected with my faith, the more I realize like one of my favorite people to follow is Allie Stuckey, and she's always like, nowhere in the Bible does Jesus tell us to love ourselves. Like
right.
She wrote this book, which I haven't read yet, but I probably will grab it on Audible. It's called You're Not Enough and That's Okay. And I just love that because I really get sick of the message of you got to love yourself or give yourself grace That's not anything biblical either. And I get it. A lot of these people are not Christians. So of course they're not going to understand that only God gives us grace.
You don't deserve grace.
Well, that it eliminates our need for Jesus, right? If we can give all this stuff we need ourselves to ourselves. So just a reality, that's just my reality check where I'm like, oh, this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm going to put this away for now. I just can't. But again, it's like people repeating what other people are saying, like, oh, that sounds good. And I get it, because I probably have said it somewhere in the past too, talked about loving, like, this is when I finally loved myself, and it's just like, no, I struggle with myself every day, but that's okay. It's normal. So yeah, it's a big whole old deciphering of like, what's real out there? What are you saying? What are you actually, are you practicing what you're preaching? Are you struggling through practicing what you're preaching? I love that. Like you said, Abby, you said that too. It's just like being real about stuff, like, so that people know. I think that's like my favorite stuff. It's just like, and then I know personally, I don't post anything if I'm not feeling like sharing anything. I just don't. It's just, and in the past I would have been more, or maybe I'll do a reel, like something funny. And I think people are just like, oh, this doesn't have anything to do with fitness. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like sharing anything about fitness.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Life is more than fitness.
Yes, life is more than fitness.
Like I will get a follower or two and they'll be like, because I'll do a fitness reel. And then they watch my stories and they see that I make bread. I play with my chickens. I play with my dog. I've got crazy children. I'm a personal trainer. And that I'm making cookies probably every other day. I'm making homemade bread every other day. And they're like, huh? Like you just see like the question marks go around. And then they like, eventually they ask questions like, so how much bread do you eat out of there? And I'm like, shoot, I eat a lot of the bread I make because it's amazing.
Right.
Like, and I think there's a lot of people like, oh, she is a personal trainer, but she likes to eat. Right. I can eat before I was a family of 4.
I ate for a family of 4 before.
Now I can eat for a family of 8.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just like we had talked about before, it's what your goals are. And my goal is to, and you know what, some people enjoy their lives, like Katie, like you said, by being very type A and being very structured. And it certainly doesn't mean that they're not good parents. We're saying, I think that those are like 1% of the population, and they shouldn't be the models for how you live your life. To me, it's more like when I do the interviews with the pro athletes, I'm always like, this is fascinating. This is not me. But what can we glean from what you're doing, or, what tips you got or whatever for somebody who's trying to, get a little bit more in tune with their fitness or trying to have better habits or whatever it is. But I don't know. I just feel like live your life. Don't hurt anybody. And if you have children, I really would encourage you to work hard at raising children that you are going to want to be around and be proud of. And other people are going to want to be around and be proud of as well. So
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, Katie, you said that you had to go.
Yeah.
You died.
I know. No, I just saw the time too. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely probably got to get out. Plus this little guy's starting to wake up a little bit and stir, but yeah, I got to tap out.
Okay. Sometimes Abby and I just stay on and we talk about you after you leave. So I mean,
it's totally fine. Yeah. And if you post it, I won't see it. So that's it. I'm going back on Instagram. Just kidding. All right. Well, I'm going to go, but I will talk to you guys soon.
Bye, Katie.
See ya.
Oh my goodness. So Abby, how are you?
I'm fine. Oh my gosh. Okay. When she's like sitting there rocking JT and I'm seeing his perfect little head, I'm like, oh,
I know he does have he's just got the perfect little baby head. Oh my goodness. It's
The
so
forehead
cute.
and the cheeks all connect to the chin, and it's just one perfect sphere. And I just want to nuzzle it and hold it.
I'm going to show you this picture if it's still, I don't know if it's still up. My friend Becky, she was a client. Some of your clients become friends, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And she had a picture of her baby. Oh, it's not on here anymore. I showed Anna last night. He's so freaking cute. Same. It's like the perfect little round head. Just like, "Arr."
Oh, I do. That's one thing I do so miss about the little, like, you get the stupid flashbacks from like 1 year ago. Hazel was 4 months old, and I'm like, look at how tiny and her huge cheeks. What the heck? And now she's like over here banshee crying and tearing down things and saying words, and I'm just, oh,
Yeah.
Lily Mae over here growing like a weed. It's nuts, and that's where baby fever happens.
Yeah. It's when you remember holding them and they were just like this little sack that was like head on the shoulder, right here, just everywhere. I know a lot of people hate that stage because you can't do anything, and you can't because you hold the baby 24/7 pretty much if they're not sleeping. But I was like, I don't know. I was like, I will take this growth any day. Like,
Well, I mean, now because I've had such rough postpartums mentally.
Yeah.
And now that because Hazel and I are almost done weaning. That's been like super frustrating for me because my hormones are in a weird place. Like 1 minute I want to snuggle, and the next minute I want to go into the car and scream. But we're like down to just one nursing in a 24-hour period. And I'm sitting here just now going like, how is it that as soon as you're done, like almost done with that postpartum, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting here going, I want to snuggle baby. But I had that with Lily too, and Lily Mae was just so hard. But as soon as we were done nursing, after like a month of getting back to feeling like myself,
Yeah.
I was like, huh, I miss snuggling a tiny baby.
Yeah. The last, I think I remember the last, I would nurse her at night before she went to bed. I would nurse her and she would fall asleep. That was the last nursing that I did. And the final one, I just was like, I don't remember. I was like, well, I'm going to not do this. And then I think I just kind of was like, nope, we're not doing that now. And she was like, okay. And I was like, you don't want me? Like, what?
Well, hang on.
But it was done. It was just done. I was like, oh,
It's
so sad.
like all of a sudden you realize that's their first moment of growing up.
Yeah.
And last night we went skiing and snowboarding with Lily Mae. Ben and I did.
Mhm.
And it was on Wednesday night is when Ben's school does ski club. So a ton of students, current students, previous students. Like Ben has been a teacher for almost, I think this is year 9, so almost a decade of teaching. Like his first year students are all in college right now. And he's all like, that's so weird to him. But so he's everyone's favorite teacher. Everyone knows Mr. Overbeek. And so they all know Lily Mae, and all these little girls, like I say little, but they're all like my height. And they're all these 5th, 6th graders. They're all wanting to ski with Lily Mae. And Lily Mae has been out, I think last night was her 6th time, and she's a pro. But they were like taking her up the toe up to the hill, and they're all like, okay, Lily Mae, like bend your knees, and she's bending her knees and she's coasting down, and Ben's at the bottom. He's like, she doesn't need me anymore. I'm like, okay, don't, because I'm going to get emotional thinking about that. My 3.5-year-old is over here just skiing with no poles and just taking the world by storm, because we all know Hazel's going to be a snowboarder and is going to just be ripping it and not needing us. And I'm like, I can't deal with the independence that they just get overnight in something.
It's like the kids that go to kindergarten. It's like you're torn between, do you want your child to be like, all right, I'll see you later, and be all brave and go do it and there's no problem? Or do you want your kid crying and grabbing at you like you just are putting them in prison, you know? Because then you're like, oh yes, we created a great bond.
But then it's also embarrassing because you're like, stop crying.
Right?
They're gonna think school sucks.
Oh, it's so funny. I don't even remember. I think Anna was like maybe apprehensive, but I don't know. She was like fine. We didn't have any temper tantrums. I don't think I ever had a temper tantrum of any type with Anna. Like I never had to remove her from a store, a restaurant. I don't know. She was kind of scared of me, I think. Like, you know what I mean? Where it was just like, you know, they look at you and you're like they're like, oh, mom's gonna be really mad or disappointed. Or I would always say I'm disappointed if she did something that crushed her. It crushed her. And I was like, oh yes, I'm disappointed in you. You will feel devastated. You will never behave that way again.
That's so Lily Mae. And I just have to like, yesterday, because Lily Mae's got hair that is like way, 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 way long. I want to say like how long your hair is like what's on Lily Mae's body.
I saw her little, you did the little loop. They're not the braids, but with the rubber bands. So cute.
She is I mean, Hazel, and I doubt I'll ever be able to do that with her because she's just psycho. But Lily will yesterday, because I have to do her hair every day or else she gets like dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I said, all right, I have to do your hair. We're going to go skiing. I have to do your hair. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And so I did the eyebrow raise, like the mom look. Right. She just looked at me and said, I don't want to. And then she went and put herself in timeout. Like, she's just so like, I know what's going to happen. So I just put myself here to stall. And Hazel will just straight up look us in the eye. We'll be like, Hazel, like the mom dad voice. And she just looks you dead on and doesn't blink. She does not care. It's like a challenge power stance. Right. And Ben and I are like, we're kind of scared of her. Like, this kid means business. Afraid of nobody.
It's so funny. Anna used to wear like the Carhartt type beanie, and then she would get all this dreadlock crap underneath here. She would just go, I'd be like, oh, it was a mess. It was older, when she was older and she was supposed to be brushing her hair herself, but she would sleep with a hat on or whatever. And I was just like, dude, I don't know if you remember, she wore that cupcake hat like for years. I'm like, I'm surprised you're not bald with like dreadlocks underneath, because all you would wear, she just wore this cupcake hat all the time. But I ended up cutting her hair because she wouldn't let me brush it. And like my mom had the same thing with me. She didn't cut it, but I would scream with the hair brushing. Like it just had a really tender head. And, you know, and then Anna was the same thing, but I ended up cutting her hair in like a little bob. And I was like, solves this problem.
Yeah, that's going to be, because Hazel, I'll like get the hair tie, because everyone like, oh, I love Hazel's little hair. And I'm like, do you know how much sweat goes into putting that little child's hair up? Like, I am out of breath. Like, I will do it when she's in her high chair now.
Oh, yeah.
Her shoulders are kind of pinned. And then I'll grab it. And then as soon as you grab it and the hair tie comes out, she starts like just shaking like a dog the whole time while she's going, like she's not screaming. She's just having a great time that I'm grabbing her hair, I guess.
Making this difficult for you.
Oh, and I was able to French braid Lily Mae's hair at 1.5. Like she just always sat still for it.
Wow.
So with Lily, I've not had to worry. With Hazel, I'm like, I'm going to give you a bob like for life, because that's all we can do with you.
Brittany. It's Brittany.
Yeah. We're going to have Brittany. What year was that? 2007?
Yes, it was 07. Yeah.
07, Brittany. I feel it. I'm ready. I'm there some days too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had a couple of moments as well. So,
Or just shaking your head feels like a good idea, because that's all I can do right now.
I have to say, like, and it's like when I do like some purple dye or something, you're like, Deb's life is really hard right now.
Oh, it's like Deb must be having a moment.
She's this close to Brittany 07.
That was me when I first started trying to grow my hair out before Hazel, and I was just so like whatever, and I just put my hair in a low pony and I went shwink, and I chopped it. Like, and I probably took about 3 inches off. And Ben was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know." But we blame it on pregnancy. It didn't look terrible.
Like, because shooting people is illegal.
You know, I get it. Like, this is, yeah, I'm one of those people where it's like, yep, I sometimes do need medication.
Yep. Yep.
Because I'll just go around cutting people's hair off, I guess.
I saw this meme the other day that was like, I really wanted to know if I really wanted bangs. So it was something like, I really wanted bangs. So I cut bangs into my 4-year-old. Wow, I'm really glad I didn't cut bangs. I'm like, yeah, that's something I would do. Let's try it out on my mini. No, it looks bad.
Terrible. So glad I didn't do that. That's amazing. Oh, that's so funny.
Which is also why I love the internet, because it's stuff like that that keeps me going. Like, I need these jokes that other people,
I love, like, there's a couple of dad accounts that I will follow on TikTok that just bring me life. Like, they're the dad jokes, the way they explain things, or like after they've like stitched a video and their reactions to it, they are just so funny. And I'm like, see, again, I follow what I know makes me laugh or that I can agree with, but I just won't follow any more people that piss me off. Like, if you're gonna make me feel bad about myself, whether you're trying to or not, you have no business being in my life. So that's how social media can be a good thing.
Well, and I think that's the problem with the younger generation, because they're so like, like for instance, with Anna, they all follow each other, everyone in their grade and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, now you have people that are, I mean, for her, even 16-year-olds posting political stuff. And it's like, you can't even vote. Like, you can barely drive, you haven't driven in a snowstorm yet, so you can't even drive. Like, why are you posting political stuff? And so then she'll see that. And then I'm like, here, let me show you how to hide someone's story. So but the thing is, they don't want to offend anybody by unfollowing them or removing somebody. It's like they can't put out boundaries, because their boundaries are offensive to their friends, because everyone is so sensitive. It's a very difficult situation, so yeah.
And that's why I think I'll be good not letting my kids do social media at all until I told them, I was like, they can do it when they have a job and they can like make their own financial decisions. Then I know that they can have a decision with social media. Like, I'm so glad I didn't grow up in social media life, because I had such low self-esteem.
Yeah.
I would have been wrecked. Like,
well, these are the kids that they don't post anything because they're afraid to post. You know what I mean? So the psychology behind it is crazy. I will say though, I'm not going to poo-poo your intentions, but we had also said, like, Anna was one of the last people I'm not going to say that. She had a phone because she was going between 2 households and we didn't always get along. So we needed to have her be able to communicate. We get along better now, but yeah. And so she had a phone, but it wasn't, back then it was like, I don't even know what her first phone was or whatever. She didn't have social media apps on it or anything like that. So still
Well,
be able to, yeah.
Yeah,
So
in that case, absolutely. I absolutely see that.
yeah, it's more not wanting them to have, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok or whatever it is until you allow it, which is what, we did as well. And she had got Instagram when she was 13, but it was like, I could flip between hers and mine. And like, I knew exactly who she was talking to, what was happening, all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
do you have a child?
Spartacus has to go potty.
Oh, it's really funny.
The neediest one.
Yeah. I don't know what this all is going to do to our children. I do know too, though, that when you talk to a lot of like the Gen Z, I don't really even know what generation it is, but a lot of the kids are very, like, even when you talk to them in person, they're very unemotional. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely things that are happening. So I don't know. I would say hold off on the electronics for as long as possible.
Yeah, because you want your kids to be able to develop their own thoughts, and instead of being influenced by everything, and that's just it. I want my kid to have their own individual personality and not be influenced by a Kardashian-esque influencer, because I swear that's what every top influencer looks like, because they're all aiming to be like the America's first reality family.
Well, it's the people that are like, the kids that are like, well, I want to be a YouTuber as their like occupation
career.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, but also like, what do you want to go to school for? Or something.
What school is that?
Girls are like, I'm just gonna have an OnlyFans.
Hey, if there was an Only Feet, I'd do that.
There is Only Feet.
Shut up.
Yes. Are you kidding me?
I have really cute feet. I could do that.
Yeah. I had seen this reel. It was some sort of, I don't know what they do. They do them on Facebook now. Okay. And this girl was like taking her socks off and putting them in a plastic bag. She mailed people, they would buy her used socks, and she was making like 10 grand a month. And I told Anna, and Anna was like, I would do that. And I was like, you would not freaking do that. And I go, I said, something weird is going on, because you have to communicate with this person. You have to, I don't even know what like kind of craziness you have, but yeah, people. Well, Abby, if you ever had a chance to look in my DMs, you'd know that people pay for anything, including feet pics.
I don't mind giving a feet pic. I don't want to mail and people see my mailing address or see anything with my name on it sent to their house. That's no.
I'm sure they do like a PO box, or there's got to be ways around it. It's just, I don't know. I'm like, where does it end?
Never mind, I'm out.
I struggle with feeding. What'd you say?
I'll just work hard.
I struggle with feeding people's fetishes, because there's got to be some sort of sexual aspect to it, and that's really gross to me. That's what the feet thing is. It is sexual to them. It's very yes, exactly. Exactly. And I feel like this is a whole other topic, but with the boom of the free pornography industry, like people just, it's like they're just like throwing shit at a wall to see if it sticks. If you ask enough people, you're going to get somebody who is willing to do something for whatever the amount of money is. So yeah, this is like the integrity of the world is just gone.
Yep. And we do have, the world has always been a messed up place. Like I tell people, sin is not new.
No,
it is just evolved
Yes.
over time. And
It's
this
just
is where
easier.
it's easier to sin. It's more acceptable.
Well, with the open communication, like, you know, you used to, like, I always used to say, like, if you wanted pornography or whatever, you had to go to the seedy part of town to get a magazine or a peep show or whatever. Now you're just like, boobs. And then,
Yeah. And then you got millions of images right there.
or Instagram, you know, I know, like, you can't tell me that if you're a guy following 7,000 fitness chicks is because you're really into fitness. Like, you're,
They want those post-show pics.
like, I'm just looking for tips on how to get healthy.
Yeah. Your heart rate's racing in some way, buddy. I know that. That's his cardio.
Oh, yeah.
On that note.
Which is the other reason to keep your child off the, you know, off the internet as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Anna will have, like, occasionally she gets like friend requests, be like, who is this guy? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna kill him.
He sent his last request.
Yeah. She did get one that was I ended up blocking him, and I blocked him from my account as well. I don't think he was following me, but it was like something like sugar daddy friend requesting my daughter. And I was like, dude, don't make me find you because you are disgusting. That's just the grossest. I'm like, first of all, this is illegal, you know? Yeah. So all you need is like those little reality checks to be like, oh yes, let me still be aware that the internet and the world is a crazy, dangerous place.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's cool. Your husband does a ski club. That's why you guys are always like snowboarding and at Bitters. Does it, like, this is a personal question, but is it like, does he have to pay for it, or is it something through school then?
So Ben, I know he gets some sort of teacher discount. He used to run the ski club, but then after I had Hazel, I was like, no, I need your butt home. But that's why we do go out quite a bit. Ben would always try and go it's a way for him to bond with his students.
Sure.
And now that he has Lily, now it's a way for that. But now that I am not, because I've been pregnant or postpartum the past couple of years. And so now I'm at that point where it's like, okay, I can get back. Because when I was postpartum with Lily Mae at this stretch, it was during the summer. Well, now it's winter time, so I'm able to do it. But that's why we do like to go out. And Ben's family is huge into skiing. Ben's the only one that snowboards out of his family. And I like to snowboard because my knees are happier about it. So that's why Lily Mae skis, because it is better. But when I tried to ski in Colorado for the first time, I blew my LCL, my ACL, and my MCL the first time. So I was like, and we're not trying that again. So.
Oh my word. So did you have surgery?
No, luckily I didn't need to. I had a slight tear in my meniscus, but this is where strength training paid off because I had such strong muscles, and it also paid being in my early 20s.
Okay.
But they were all like super minor tears.
Okay.
So like, but the fact that it was all 3 major ligaments all having major like little minor tears, it all turned into like a big injury. But they all, after MRIs and scans, they were like, you don't need surgery, you just need PT. So I did PT. And then that following winter, then I did snowboarding, which was much better for my knee.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'd rather break a bone than ruin the ligaments, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah.
Ligaments suck. Like, because even now, like when we were getting that snowstorm, like my knee was kind of like, ooh, I feel that change in precipitation in the air.
Yeah, I know. I have a torn meniscus too. And like, I've been to the doctor several times. I've done different stuff. I did some dry needling. I've done PT a couple of different times. My left leg is just always going to be a little bit crappier than my right leg. But the doctor was like, I don't think surgery is going to alleviate anything for you, because with the meniscus, they stitch it together, but it's like, it doesn't heal. It's just, it's like basically stitching together, you know, if you were to stitch together pieces of plastic or something like that, it doesn't heal. And he was like, you aren't exhibiting any signs of someone with a torn meniscus as far as like catching or having it give out or anything like that. He's like, I don't see surgery helping you at all. And I was just like, I love that, because I don't want to do, I mean, I had surgery on my shoulder and like that took forever to heal. And I freaking, yeah.
Like, I felt like you were in a sling for a long time.
It was just, I mean, it was probably 4 weeks or 6 weeks with the sling, but the whole building back the muscle and everything, like they were like, well, it takes about 6 months for just a regular person to get back to like normal, which is basically sitting and doing nothing. So for like an athlete, I don't know, I felt like it was a year and a half before I got the muscle back that I had lost and the strength and you know, the shoulder sits up higher and for it to drop and all this other stuff that like shoulder is bigger surgery than knee, but it's still any of these joint surgeries. When you said you blew out your knee, my friend Kelly had blown out her ACL or her MCL and her or ACL. What are the three? Either
The LCL, the MCL, and the ACL.
yes. But she detached all of them and she had surgery. Yeah. When she was doing a Tough Mudder, she was going across the monkey bar things and she dropped and caught all her weight on one leg and just buckled her knee and just, that was it. So, and then when they did the surgery, everything was like too tight. She couldn't bend it all the way. So then they had to go in and like rip things up again. And it was just like, I know. Like, so then when you were like, I didn't have surgery, and I was like, oh, so, but you said you minor tore everything, which doesn't need surgery. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I would always advise people, like, if you can modify your exercises rather than going through, because I'll probably have to have a knee replacement when I'm 70 or something like that, because the cartilage will be gone because of the meniscus. But like, yeah, having surgery is like, just like, there's never a good time to have surgery. There's never a good time to just be like, I can't do anything right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Ben has a hereditary carpal tunnel issue. And so Ben has had both hands done. And Ben's dad probably needs it done too, but he's a taxidermist. He works with his hands every single day and fine-tuning work. And he's told us, he's like, I can't just take off 4-6 weeks of work when I'm getting all these animal like hides in every day. So like part of it is, yeah, in that case, that would be elective surgery. And he's definitely that person of like, maybe when I just can't grip anything anymore, then I'll get it done. But he's like, I can still grip anything and grab anything. So we'll just keep trucking on.
Yeah. Yeah. You work like through pain a little bit. You know I've had to modify my training. I can't do, somebody made a comment too, because I think I had asked the question, like, what is your favorite and your least favorite exercise? And some guy said hack squats, and that's like there's one of 4 exercises that I just do not feel stable doing, or it causes a lot of inflammation or actual swelling in the knee. Hack squats is one, sissy squats, a forward lunge, but I mean, but you can do a reverse lunge. I can do a split squat. Like, there's all these things. It's just a matter of figuring out what you can do systematically, going through them and figuring out what doesn't cause inflammation, what doesn't cause pain. This rep range or this amount of volume overdid it because that caused swelling. So it's just like, if it's important to you, you'll figure out how to do it without going through the process of a surgery and taking up all that time to for what? Because then you have the PT that follows, and you're like, yeah, like I said, I was super happy that doctor was like, I don't think you need surgery. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I need it either. Good talk.
That'll be free, right? Because you didn't do anything.
We'll just buy you a coffee sometime. Good. It's good.
Send you a picture of my feet. Call it good. Oh, well, I'm gonna have to bounce because Hazel is waking up and I've got clients coming soon.
Perfect. It's all right. All right. Have a great day. Remember that healthy looks different on everybody. See ya.
Bye.